I never thought the night would turn into a living nightmare. One minute I was walking alone, the next Nihal had me in his iron grip. A chemical-soaked cloth pressed to my mouth, my senses started to fade fast. Just as darkness closed in, a familiar figure crashed into him, fists flying. Siddharth fought, like a man possessed, taking Nihal down in seconds flat. The last thing I saw was Siddharth's worried face before blacking out completely. I had no idea where he was taking me, or what would happen next. But in that moment, I knew I was finally safe. We left Nihal's mess behind, vanishing into the desert night. When I finally stirred, the world was soft and warm, not cold and dark. I was curled in Siddharth's lap, his face inches from mine, full of worry. The room smelled of sand and jasmine, nothing like the stench of chloroform. Then I saw at his hand held a velvet ring box, glinting in the sunlight. My heart skipped a beat. This wasn't just a rescue, it was something more. He opened his mouth, and I held my breath, waiting for what he'd say. In that moment, all the fear, all the chaos, faded away. The box clicked open, and I saw the simple, beautiful ring inside. My hand trembled as I lifted it, not knowing what to say. But one thing was clear, nothing would ever be the same again. He wasn't just saving me that night, he was giving me a new chance. I woke up in Siddharth's lap, and he held a velvet ring box. Panic shot through me. I jerked back, slamming my shoulder into the headboard. His grin faltered as I scrambled away. Before I could storm out, he grabbed my wrist, his grip firm, unyielding. Then Morvi burst in, holding a crimson wedding lehenga like she carried a secret weapon. She tossed it on the bed, her eyes glinting like she knew exactly how to break my resistance. She leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper. Nihal's friend is a fraud. We have proof. My blood ran cold. Nihal had been lying this whole time, using me for his schemes. She pulled out a fake engineering degree, proof Nihal's friend never even went to college. The signature was obviously forged sloppy, rushed, nothing like a real graduate's would be. I clenched the bedsheets until my knuckles white. How could Nihal do this to my family? Siddharth stepped closer, his voice soft. I couldn't let him trap you. That's why I brought you here. Krr. I stared at him, and for the first time, I saw how much he cared, how he'd risked everything for me. Marvi leaned against the door, grinning like she'd just pulled off the perfect plan. Her little notebook, where she'd written down every detail of Nihal's lies, sat in her hand, a quiet weapon. I looked at him, and the fear in my chest started to shift into something like hope. He opened the ring box again, and the simple silver band glinted in the morning light. It wasn't a fancy ring, but it felt real, unlike everything Nihal had ever promised. I slowly held out my hand. Maybe marrying Siddharth wasn't a prison, it was my way out. The ring slid onto my finger, and for the first time in weeks, I felt safe. But I knew Nihal wouldn't let this go. My fight for freedom was only just beginning. I stared at the fake degree in Siddharth's hand. Nihal's friend was a total fraud. My blood ran cold as I realized how close I'd come to disaster. Then my phone blared. Nihal ordered me to marry his fake friend in 3 days. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Gautam arrived with more proof. He dug up dirt on Kriti's husband, something that would shake my family to its core. I squeezed my phone until my knuckles whitened. How could Nihal do this to us? Siddharth pointed out the forged signature proof. Nihal had planned this for months. The folder in his hands held the truth about Kriti's gambling-addicted husband. He slammed the folder down, the sound echoing through the quiet courtyard. Kriti's husband owed a fortune to loan sharks Nihal had been covering for him. I stood, my hands shaking. How much more betrayal could my family take? Siddharth placed a hand on my shoulder, his touch steadying me. He showed me photos, proof of the late nights and reckless bets. The truth hung heavy in the air. We had to act fast to save Kriti. Just then, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Kriti, her voice breaking. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the answer button. What was wrong now? Siddharth and Gautam waited silently, knowing this call would change everything. I took a deep breath and answered, praying Kriti was okay. Kriti's voice cracked as she spoke. Our father was forcing her back to her husband. Enough was enough. We were going to stop Nihal and save my family. All that rage boiled over my hand, flew before I could even think. I didn't mean to hit him, but he'd pushed me way too far. Just as the silence grew heavy, Marvi appeared with a cup of chai. I thought that was the worst of it, until my phone buzzed loudly. It was Kriti, my sister's voice, cracked before she even spoke. Her words hit me like a punch. Papa was forcing her back to him. That gambling addict of a husband, Papa thought they could fix it. I couldn't let that happen. Kriti had suffered enough. My fingers curled around the phone so tight my knuckles whitened. Marvi squeezed my shoulder, but I could barely feel it. The desert sunset blazed outside, but my world felt cold and dark. I knew what I had to do, no matter the cost. I grabbed my bag, my mind already racing to a plan. Maurvi didn't stop me, she just nodded, like she knew I had to go. The desert stretched out before me, but I wasn't afraid anymore. I grabbed the car keys, time to go save my sister. The engine roared to life. We were heading to Delhi, no turning back. As the Havli faded in the mirror, I knew this was only the beginning. I thought I could handle it, but Kriti's words broke me completely. Standing on that Haveli terrace, the desert wind felt like it was tearing me apart. My sister's pain became mine, and I couldn't hold back the rage and grief anymore. That's when Siddharth found me, my only anchor in this chaos. I thought he'd scold me for falling apart, but he just stayed. I couldn't stop crying all the lies, the pain, it was too much. He handed me chai, his touch gentle, like he was afraid I'd shatter. Just as I started to calm down, Gautam arrived with something that would change everything. He didn't say a word, he just showed me the truth. There was Nihal, talking to a loan shark, his real plan finally exposed. I always knew he was up to no good, but this was unforgivable. He was plotting to steal my family's land, our home, our legacy. Siddharth held me back, his voice steady. We need this evidence to stop him. I stared out at the desert, my mind racing with all the ways to take him down. Gautam laid out all the pieces, Nihal's debts, his lies, his entire scheme. The loan shark grinned, like he already owned our land before the deal was even done. I wasn't going to let him win. Not this time, not ever. Siddharth looked at me like he knew exactly what I was thinking. He was with me all the way. With that evidence, we finally had the upper hand. Now we just had to act fast. The fight for my family, my home, was just beginning, and I wasn't going to lose. We had to plan our next move carefully. One wrong step, and Nihal would destroy us. Every nerve in my body was on edge, but for the first time, I felt like we could win. My hands shook as Morvi helped me into that crimson wedding lehenga. I felt so out of place. She kept whispering reassurances, but my mind was racing with fear of what came next. Staring at my reflection, I barely recognized myself. This wasn't supposed to be my story. I didn't hear him come in, but when I turned, his eyes told me everything. The room went quiet. It felt like the whole world was holding its breath with us. I saw the worry in his eyes, and suddenly, I didn't feel so alone. I wanted to speak, but words got stuck in my throat. I was so scared. He took slow steps toward me, like he was approaching a skittish animal. When he stood in front of me, I braced myself for the worst. He raised a hand, then pulled back, like he was afraid to startle me. His voice was soft, so different from the urgent tone I expected. I froze when he said it. I didn't think he'd ever say something like that. He wasn't just asking me, he was promising me something. Tears pricked my eyes. I'd been so ready to fight, but he was giving me an out. He begged me, not to stay, but to let him keep me safe from Nihal. A tear fell onto the fabric, darkening the red. I was so confused. He wiped away my tear, his touch gentle. I didn't pull away. His eyes told me he meant every word. He wouldn't let Nihal hurt me. I grabbed his wrist, suddenly knowing what I had to do. We held hands, and for the first time, I felt like we could face anything together. Here in this Rajasthan Haveli, I'm about to marry the man I love secretly, against all odds. The sun dips below the desert, painting the sky gold as our small wedding begins. Panditji chants sacred mantras, my heart racing with both fear and desperate hope. I step towards Siddharth, the flower garland in my hands feeling heavier than any family duty. This is our only chance to escape the life my traditional father planned for me. I hold out my garland, my fingers trembling slightly as I make this promise. We exchange garlands, our first public act of defiance against everyone who tried to control us. His hands are steady, even when mine are not. He's my anchor in this chaos. In that golden sunset, for the first time, I feel like I belong somewhere. Then he takes out the golden Mangal Sutra, our final, unbreakable bond. When the chain touches my neck, I know there's no going back now. It's not just a necklace, it's a promise to fight for each other, always. Panditji pronounces us married, and I can barely hold back my tears. They're not tears of sadness, they're tears of relief, of finally being free. Our friends watch from the corner. They helped plan this whole risky escape. For a brief, perfect moment, we're just a group of happy people celebrating love. Siddharth instantly steps in front of me, his body tensing like a protective shield. Standing in the doorway is Nihal's friend, his face purple with unbridled rage. He stares right at us, and I know our secret wedding has been discovered. Siddharth doesn't back down. He's ready to fight for our marriage, no matter what. I'm scared not for myself, but for what he'll do to my family, to us. His fist is clenched so tight I can see his knuckles white. He's not here to talk. In that tense silence, I realize our fight for love is far from over. I thought we were safe until Nihal's friend came screaming, ready to blow our cover. He yelled about ruined wedding plans, like I'd personally destroyed his entire life. Siddharth stepped up immediately, ready to fight for me right there. He shoved him back hard, sending the man stumbling into the stone wall. The man yelled about revenge, but I could see he was scared now. Siddharth warned him to stay away, his voice cold as ice. With one last furious shout, he turned and ran into the growing dark. I was shaking, relieved, but terrified of what Nihal would do next. Siddharth pulled me close, his voice soft as he tried to calm me down. Just as I started to breathe easy, my phone buzzed an ominous sign. My hands shook as I pulled it out, praying it wasn't bad news. It was from Nihal, a threat that made my blood run cold. He said he'd make my father disown me. My worst fear was coming true. Siddharth saw the message, and his face hardened all over again. He squeezed my hand, promising me we'd fix this no matter what it took. The sun was setting, and I knew our fight was far from over. I clutched my Mangal Sutra, hoping this secret wedding wouldn't destroy everything. Siddharth scanned the desert, like he expected Nihal to appear any second. Tears burned my eyes. I just wanted this nightmare to end. We walked back into the Haveli, knowing tomorrow would bring more danger, more fights to survive. Every creak of the door felt like a countdown to what Nihal would do next. As the door closed, I wondered if we'd ever truly escape Nihal's grasp. I stared at the Mangal Sutra around my neck, tears burning my eyes. I couldn't stop thinking about what my father would say if he knew. Every tear felt like a weight pulling me away from everything I knew. Then the door creaked, and Siddharth stood there, holding something in his hands. He didn't say a word, just walked over and laid the shirt on the bed. That shirt. It smelled like his cologne, warm and familiar. I looked up at him, my throat too tight to speak. His eyes were soft, no trace of the usual smirk, just concern. He He nodded, as if saying, "It's okay," and I reached for the shirt. The fabric was big, but it felt like a shield around me. I stood up, heading for the screen in the corner to change. Siddharth turned his back, giving me the privacy I needed. I slipped off my old clothes, pulling on his oversized shirt. When I stepped out, the shirt swallowed me, but I felt safe. Siddharth turned around, and his eyes went wide with awe. He walked over slowly, like I was something fragile, something to cherish. He brushed a strand of hair from my face, his touch gentle as a feather. We sat down on the bed, leaning into each other, finally quiet. Just when I thought we could breathe, his phone started buzzing. He pulled it out, his smile fading when he saw the name on the screen. His voice dropped to a whisper as he answered, his face turning grim. He swore under his breath, and I knew something was very wrong. I leaned forward, my heart racing. "What is it? What's wrong?" He looked at me, his voice tight with urgency. "Gautam just called. Nihal's on his way here with a group of men." Nihal's men were closing in. Siddharth's grip was my only lifeline in that chaos. Morvi shoved a bag of clothes at me, our only supplies for this escape. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. Every noise felt like Nihal coming for us. We ran as fast as our legs could carry us, dirt crunching under our shoes. Gautam was waiting, car engine roaring, ready to get us far away from danger. I scrambled into the back seat, my hands shaking as I pulled the door shut. Siddharth slammed the door shut, his eyes fixed on the main gate where Nihal's shouts echoed. The car sped away, and I could see Nihal's figure yelling and waving at the gate. Siddharth squeezed my hand, his touch a quiet reassurance in the chaos. My mind raced. What would happen when we reached Delhi? Would my father even listen? Gautam drove in silence, his eyes fixed on the dark road ahead. No one dared speak a word. "We're going to Delhi. We have to see your father before Nihal does." I turned to him, shocked. Confronting my father now? It felt like walking into a lion's den. The car drove through the dark desert, every mile bringing us closer to the moment of truth. I squeezed the fabric of my kurta, my mind filled with worst-case scenarios. Siddharth's eyes held mine, steady and sure. We have to tell him everything. He deserves to know the truth. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, wondering if my father would ever forgive me. In the distance, the lights of Delhi glowed our destination, and our greatest challenge yet. Fear began to fade, replaced by a quiet resolve. I had to face this, no matter what. We fell silent, each lost in our own thoughts, as the car carried us closer to the unknown. Siddharth gave my hand a gentle pat, a silent promise that we'd get through this together. I stared out the window at the dark desert, wondering what awaited us in Delhi. The lights grew brighter with every mile, and my heart began to race again. This was it. I bit my lip, trying to calm my nerves. What would my father say when he saw me? The car was quiet, but the air felt thick with tension. We were almost there. The desert stretched ahead as we drove to Delhi, my hands shaking non-stop inside the car. I wasn't just nervous about facing Papa Nihal's shadow hung over us every mile. Gautam dug up more dirt on Nihal loan shark records, fake deals, everything. Siddharth tried to calm me, but every sip tasted like fear in my mouth. As the city skyline came into view, my throat tightened. We were almost there. I kept replaying Papa's angry voice in my head. Would he ever listen to the truth? Gautam wasn't stopping. He wanted every piece of evidence to crush Nihal's lies. The GPS pinged we were officially in Delhi, and time was running out on us. Siddharth gave me a look quiet, support that felt like a lifeline right then. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. My blood ran cold before I even saw the caller ID. It was Papa. His name glowing on the screen felt like a death sentence. I answered, my voice cracking, already bracing for the anger I knew was coming. Papa's voice was ice cold when he spoke. No greeting, no warmth, just fury. Gautam shut his laptop fast. We all knew this was about to get messy. The car went dead quiet, as Papa's words hit me like a punch to the chest. "I know everything," he said. Those 4 words shattered every last hope I had. Siddharth pulled over to the side of the road. We couldn't keep driving like this. Tears burned my eyes as Papa ordered me home immediately. No questions, no explanations. Gautam pulled out our evidence folder. We were going to face this head on, whether Papa liked it or not. We stepped out of the car, ready to confront Papa and whatever Nihal had already twisted against us. The pavement under my feet felt unsteady, but I held my head high. We had truth on our side. Siddharth's hand in mine was the only thing keeping me from falling apart right there on the street. Siddharth squeezed my hand tight, but even his warmth couldn't chase away my dread. He stepped in front of me, like he was trying to shield me from what was to come. The wooden door loomed ahead, silent as a judge ready to deliver a verdict. Then I heard the lock turn slow, deliberate, like the ticking of a clock counting down. When the door swung open, my father's face was purple with rage. I knew this was bad. His eyes bored into me, hot and sharp, like he was looking at a stranger, not his daughter. He took a menacing step forward, his finger jabbing straight at Siddharth. The words I'd been dreading finally spilled from his mouth, loud and venomous. "Get out of my house!" he roared, his voice shaking with fury. "You're not welcome here!" Siddharth didn't flinch. He just stood there, his gaze steady, like he was ready to fight for us. I opened my mouth to beg, but no words came out. My throat felt like it was clamped shut. I stepped between them, my hands raised like I could stop the storm brewing between them. But my father only snarled louder, his arm rigid as he pointed at the street. Siddharth's hand found my back, warm and steady, a silent promise that he wouldn't leave me. My father's chest heaved with every ragged breath, like he was ready to explode. Tears burned my eyes, blurring everything. I'd never felt so small, so helpless. Siddharth tried to speak, to explain, but my father cut him off with a snarl. I thought facing my father would be hard, but I had no idea how brutal it would get. He screamed that I'd shamed our family, that I destroyed our good name. I clutched my Mangalsutra, terrified he'd see it and disown me forever. Siddharth tried to speak up, but father slammed his hand on the table, silencing him instantly. Just when I thought I couldn't take anymore, I heard footsteps from the kitchen. It was my sister, Kriti, and she wasn't here to take sides. She came with proof. She walked straight to the table and laid down papers that would shatter father's anger. Father's face changed instantly from red-hot rage to cold confusion. I stared at my sister, shocked. I had no idea she'd been hiding this from us. The room went silent, the only sound father's heavy breathing as he read the papers. They were proof of my brother-in-law's gambling debts, debts that would destroy our family. Kriti's voice was steady as she told us everything, how he'd lied, how he'd stolen from us. Siddharth squeezed my shoulder, silently telling me we'd get through this together. Father's hands shook as he held the papers. He'd been so blind to what was happening. He sat down, looking defeated for the first time in my life. I barely recognized him. Kriti didn't back down. She told him he'd been wrong to ignore her pain. I watched, my heart aching. This wasn't the father I'd always feared. This was a man who'd failed us. The papers rustled slightly, as if whispering all the secrets we'd hidden for far too long. For the first time, I saw guilt in father's eyes. He knew he'd let us all down. The room stayed quiet, but it wasn't angry anymore. It was the silence of a family finally facing the truth. I thought the chaos was over, but Kriti dropped a bomb no one saw coming. Dad's face drained of color. He had no idea how deep Kriti's marriage had sunk. He couldn't speak, could only stare at the numbers that broke his pride. Just when we thought it couldn't get worse, Nihal strolled in, grinning like he owned the place. But his smile died the second he saw Siddharth standing beside me. His eyes turned icy. We both knew he wasn't here to help, but to make demands. He sauntered to the couch, acting like he had every right to dictate our lives. Dad looked at him, desperate for a way out, too desperate to see the trap. He pulled out his phone, like he held the solution to all our problems. But his solution was the worst deal we could ever accept. Dad's eyes lit up, then dimmed. He knew what was being asked was wrong. Siddharth stepped in front of me, ready to fight whatever Nihal was about to demand. Then he said he'd fix Kriti's marriage, but only if I married his friend. I froze. How dare he trade my life like it was a bargaining chip? The room went dead silent. No one could believe his audacity. Kriti looked guilty. She knew this was all because of her broken marriage. Dad's head hung. He had to choose between his two daughters. Siddharth's fists clenched. He wanted to punch Nihal's smirk right off his face. Nihal lounged back, confident he'd won, like Dad had no choice but to agree. But when I looked at Siddharth, I knew we wouldn't let this stand, no matter what. I thought we were done hiding until Siddharth pulled out proof that would shatter everything. The sound echoed through the room. This was the moment we stopped playing nice. Nihal's face drained of color. He knew his lies were about to catch up. For the first time, I saw doubt flicker in my father's eyes. The room went dead silent. No one dared to speak, not even for a breath. The fake signature stared back, proof Nihal's scheme was built on lies. Nihal tried to stammer an excuse, but his voice caught in his throat. My father's finger shot toward Nihal finally. He was seeing the truth. Just as tension peaked, the front door creaked open, changing everything. Gautam and Marvi stepped in. We had more than enough to take Nihal down. That folder held secrets Nihal thought he'd buried forever. Marvi's eyes burned. She'd waited to expose him just as long as we had. The folder hit the table with a thud. Nihal's fate was sealed. Nihal clutched his phone like a lifeline, but he had nowhere to run. For the first time in months, I felt hope we might actually win this. The room split into two sides, liars, and those who'd had enough. We found proof he'd tried to steal my father's land all along. Gautam's look said it all. We had every piece of evidence we needed. Siddharth's gaze burned into Nihal. He wouldn't let this go unpunished. Marvi held up a hand to silence us. She had one last bombshell to drop. This is it. Gautam's laying out every proof of Nihal's lies, and I can barely breathe. Every text, every fake document. He's laying out all of Nihal's twisted schemes for Papa to see. Papa's hands are shaking so bad. I can see he's realizing how blind he was. Every page he turns is another piece of the puzzle he missed, and it's breaking him. The room's dead quiet, every second stretching on like an eternity as he reads. This text proves Nihal was stealing from us to pay his gambling debts. Papa can't ignore this. Gautam doesn't say a word, but his face says it all. He's been waiting for this moment. Kriti's been through so much because of Nihal. She's finally getting her justice. And then he looks up at me, and I know what's coming next. I can't look away. All I feel is guilt for not telling him the truth sooner. Siddharth's right beside me, steady. But I know this is all on me now. His hand in mine is the only thing keeping me from falling apart. Papa sets the file down, leaning forward, and I brace myself for the question. Everyone's eyes are on us now. There's no running from this. And then he says it, the question I've been dreading since this all started. I take a deep breath, knowing I have to tell him everything, even the parts I'm ashamed of. Gautam's watching me closely. He knows how much this will cost us. I can't hide anymore. Papa deserves to know why I kept this from him. The whole room holds its breath, and I know my answer will change everything forever. I'd hidden this secret long enough. Now was the time to lay it bare. Every eye in the room was on me, holding their breath for what I'd do next. My hands trembled, but I knew I couldn't keep lying to my father anymore. One quick move, and the dupatta fell, exposing the Mangalsutra around my neck. The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Dad's face crumpled, tears spilling down his cheeks before he could stop them. Siddharth stepped forward, his voice soft but steady as he spoke his truth. He told Dad how much he loved me, how he'd always protect me no matter what. Dad held up a hand, cutting him off before he could say more. I held my breath, waiting for his rage, his rejection, his judgment. "All of you leave," he said, his voice firm but broken around the edges. Everyone hesitated, but one look from Dad sent them filing out the door. Siddharth gave me one last worried look before he left, closing the door softly behind him. Dad sank onto the couch. His shoulders hunched like all the weight of the world was on them. The room felt huge and empty, just me and Dad, alone with all our unsaid words. I took a slow step forward, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it. I sat down beside him, not saying a word, just letting him feel my presence. His hands shook on his knees. For the first time, I saw how tired he was. I reached out and took his hand, my own trembling too. We sat there in silence for what felt like hours, but it was only minutes. Finally, Dad looked at me, his eyes red but no longer hard with anger. He opened his mouth, and I held my breath, waiting to hear what he'd say. I sat in the kitchen, my throat tight, dreading the heavy silence between us. Mama set a bowl of dal before me, her hands shaking with unspoken fear. Papa sat across, his roti untouched, his face a mask of cold tradition. I forced a bite down, the spicy dal tasting like ash in my tight throat. The kitchen felt smaller by the second, years of unspoken words pressing in on me. Then, Papa's lips moved. I froze, unable to believe what I was hearing. I looked up, my eyes wide with shock. Was he really going to say it? Mama's eyes filled with tears, her hands clasped tight in her lap. Papa leaned forward, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. The words hung in the air, heavy with years of regret and shame. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I'd waited so long to hear this apology. Papa said he'd been wrong, valuing tradition over his own daughter's happiness. I loosened my grip on the spoon, the tension in my body finally melting away. Mama reached across the table, her warm hand wrapping around mine. For the first time in years, our family felt like it was finally healing. "I'm sorry, Shruti," he said, his voice cracking with emotion. I smiled through my tears, finally able to let go of the anger I'd carried for so long. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, warming the cold, tense air around us. Papa took a bite of his roti, the first he'd eaten all day. His shoulders finally relaxed. This was the moment I'd been waiting for our family. Finally, truly, together. I squeezed Mama's hand. Silent thanks, passing between us without a word. Papa even managed a small smile, something I hadn't seen since I was a child. The dal still steamed on the table, a small symbol of our warm new beginning. I took a sip of chai, the sweet, spicy taste, finally feeling like comfort, not punishment. The kitchen no longer felt like a prison, it felt like home, at last. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Hope for my future, hope for our family. We didn't need grand words or big gestures, this quiet moment was enough. Papa placed his hand over mine, a silent promise, to do better, to be better. Mama stood up, saying she had something special to celebrate our new start. As sunlight flooded the room, I knew this was just the beginning of our happy ending. I sat in the garden, hands twisted tight. Dad wanted to talk, this could change everything. He walked slow, shoulders hunched. This wasn't the angry, strict dad I knew. He pulled out a crumpled photo. My breath hitched, I knew this picture all too well. I stared at the photo, little me, grinning with my toy stethoscope. My throat tightened. We sat in silence, the photo between us. I waited for him to speak hard in my throat. That stethoscope was my most prized toy. I'd begged Dad to let me be a doctor. Dad's voice cracked. "I was wrong to stop you. I let tradition blind me." I couldn't speak. I'd waited years for these words. Never thought I'd hear them. The wind rustled the flowers. For the first time, this garden felt like home. He kept talking, voice breaking. "I failed Kriti too, forcing her into that marriage. I'm sorry. I mind. I mind. I mind. I mind." Tears hit the photo. I thought of Kriti, trapped in a marriage she hated. Dad finally saw it. He placed a hand on my shoulder. "I was wrong about Siddharth too. He loves you truly. I squeezed his hand. Finally, after all the fights, lies, we were truly talking. Dad smiled, a small, tired smile. It was the first genuine one I'd seen in years. The sun dipped below the trees, painting the sky orange. For the first time, I felt hope. I looked at the photo again. That little girl's dream wasn't dead, it was just beginning. I smiled through my tears. All the fights, pain, this moment was worth it. Dad tucked the photo away. "I'll make it right. For you, for Kriti." We sat there, watching the sunset. For the first time, we felt like a family again. But just as I relaxed, my phone buzzed. What unexpected news was waiting for me? I stood in the garden, my heart racing as I waited for a sign from him. Dad had just turned to go inside, leaving me alone with my racing thoughts. Then I saw him peeking over the garden wall, his eyes full of hope. I couldn't help but smile, waving softly to let him know I saw him. His face lit up with a grin, and in that moment, all my worries faded a little. But just then, Dad's voice cut through the quiet, making my stomach drop. He was standing at the door, his gaze fixed on where Siddharth was hiding. Siddharth froze, his face draining of color as he realized Dad had spotted him. I looked back and forth between Dad and Siddharth, my heart pounding in my chest. Then Dad spoke calm, but firm, telling Siddharth to come inside and talk. I could see his knuckles white as he gripped the wall, clearly terrified of what Dad might say. I took a step toward him, wanting to give him some kind of comfort, some sign of support. He looked at me, and I could see the gratitude mixed with fear in his eyes. He straightened his shirt, taking a deep breath before starting toward the house. I stood frozen, watching him walk toward Dad, every second feeling like an eternity. My hand was clenched so tight around my kurta that my fingers were starting to tingle. He stood in front of Dad, shoulders straight, trying to look brave despite his fear. Dad studied him. His expression unreadable. Was this anger or something else? I crept toward the door, desperate to hear what they were saying, to know our fate. Then Dad stepped aside, gesturing for him to come in. What was he going to say? I had no idea. I stood frozen as my father-in-law fixed me with that unforgiving stare. This was it, the moment I'd feared. My knuckles whitened as I sat ramrod straight, every muscle screaming with tension. I could barely breathe, waiting for him to speak, wondering if I'd already failed. Kriti peeked from the kitchen doorway, her eyes wide with worry for us both. The room felt like a cage, every second stretching into an eternity. Then finally, he spoke, his voice sharp, cutting through the silence like a knife. I lifted my chin, forcing my eyes to meet his, determined to show I meant what I said. His hand slammed on the armrest, making me jump. This was no gentle request. I leaned forward, hanging on every word, knowing this would define our future. Kriti stepped into the room, her presence a quiet show of support for us. He demanded I promise to cherish her, to never let her regret choosing me over her family. My eyes stung, but I didn't look away. This was a vow I intended to keep forever. I stood to my full height, ready to give him the promise he needed and the truth. He watched me warily, like he was waiting for me to break, to admit I wasn't good enough. The air shifted, like the whole room was holding its breath for my answer. I spoke, my voice steady and clear. I'll spend every day proving I deserve her, I swear. For the first time, his face softened, like he saw the truth behind my words. Kriti smiled, tears of relief in her eyes. She knew we'd finally won. I sat back, exhausted but lighter than I'd felt in months. He'd accepted me. But just as I let my guard down, I heard a sound from the doorway. Shruti was home. Shruti stood in the doorway, her eyes wide, wondering what had happened in her absence. I walked to her, holding out my hand, ready to tell her everything had finally fallen into place. I held my breath as Siddharth made his promise, his voice steady and unshakable. For the first time in years, I saw my father crack a real, warm smile. My heart burst with relief. I didn't think twice, rushing straight to him. In his arms, all the fear and stress of these weeks finally melted away. I thought we'd finally found our peace, that the worst was behind us. But the sharp ring of the doorbell shattered that quiet hope instantly. Who could be visiting at a time like this? A bad feeling curled in my gut. My father pulled away, his smile fading as he walked toward the door. It was Nihal, his face twisted with a rage I'd never seen before. He stepped inside, his presence filling the room with overwhelming tension. In his hand, he held a stack of papers, legal documents for our family land. I knew exactly what this meant. He was still trying to steal everything we had. Siddharth moved to stand beside me, his body ready to protect me from whatever came next. The air in the room turned thick, like we were all holding our breath for the explosion. Nihal's knuckles whitened as he clenched the papers, his voice dripping with venom. My father's face hardened, his traditional calm replaced by fiery anger. I stepped forward, refusing to let Nihal intimidate my family any longer. This wasn't just about land anymore. This was about fighting for our home and our future. The look in his eyes told me this wasn't over. He'd never stop until he destroyed us. But with Siddharth beside me, I knew we could face whatever he threw our way. He slammed the papers on the table, his voice echoing through the house. The papers scattered across the table, proof of his twisted plan to take everything. My hands curled into fists, my resolve stronger than ever before. My father's hand landed on the papers, his voice steady as he spoke. I thought we'd won, but Nihal had one last dirty trick up his sleeve. His face turned purple with rage as he picked up those forged land papers. I could see the arrogance oozing from him. He thought he'd outsmarted us all. Then Gautam walked in, calm as ever, with the proof we needed to destroy Nihal. He held up his laptop, and my heart skipped a beat. This was it. The end for Nihal. I leaned forward, my breath catching what could possibly be on that laptop. For the first time, I saw fear flash in Nihal's eyes. Siddharth squeezed my hand tightly, giving me the strength to stay calm. Gautam's finger hovered over the play button, and the room went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop as we waited for the video to start. The video started, and every lie Nihal told started to unravel right before our eyes. For the first time, I saw fear flash in Nihal's eyes. My father stood up, his voice booming with fury as he pointed at Nihal. Gautam stood there, calm and collected, as he watched Nihal's world crumble. I stood up too, finally feeling the weight lift off my shoulders. Nihal tried to stammer out an excuse, but no one was listening anymore. He turned to run, but Siddharth stepped in front of the door, blocking his way. Siddharth's eyes were cold. He wasn't going to let Nihal escape this time. Nihal's face contorted into a mask of despair as he realized he was trapped. In that moment, I knew justice had finally been served. We'd won, for real, this time. I thought we'd finally cornered Nihal, until he saw the video that would ruin him. The room went dead quiet, as Gautam played Nihal's confession for everyone to hear. Nihal's face drained of color. He knew this was the end of his lies. He lunged at Gautam, desperate to smash the laptop and destroy the proof. But Siddharth was faster, slamming Nihal back before he could touch the computer. My father's voice boomed. He pointed to the door, ordering Nihal out for good. Nihal snarled, his rage boiling over, but he knew he had no choice but to leave. He stormed out of the house, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Kriti let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Her nightmare was almost over. My father turned to Kriti, his voice softening. He promised to fix everything for her. Gautam pulled out the divorce papers, ready to free Kriti from her terrible marriage. Kriti's hand trembled as she reached for the pen. This was her chance at freedom. Siddharth squeezed my hand, silently reassuring me that we'd won this battle. For the first time in months, the room didn't feel heavy with fear. But my phone buzzed. Nihal wasn't done with us yet. I could feel it. My father saw my face, and he vowed Nihal would never hurt our family again. Gautam laid out more papers, exposing all of Nihal's secret schemes against us. We found proof he'd been forging documents for years, trying to steal our land. Siddharth said we'd go to the police. Nihal would pay for what he'd done. As we sat there, planning our next move, I knew this wasn't the end, just the beginning. I'd fought for my love and my family, and I wasn't going to stop now. Outside, Nihal's car sped away, but I knew we'd see him again soon. Kriti smiled. For the first time in so long, she finally had hope for her future. I thought our fight was over, but tonight brought a new turning point for all of us. Gautam pulled out papers that would finally set my sister Kriti free. For months, she'd suffered in silence. Now, her chance to escape was here. Her hand didn't shake as she picked up the pen. This was her moment of courage. She signed the divorce papers, and a weight lifted from our entire family. That signature wasn't just ink on paper, it was her ticket to freedom. For the first time in years, I saw a real smile on Kriti's face. With Kriti free, Siddharth and I finally dared to plan our own future. We talked about a small, intimate wedding, just our loved ones. No chaos. For a moment, it felt like all our troubles were finally behind us. Just as we laughed, my phone buzzed an unexpected call that would change everything. I answered, not expecting the news that would make my heart race. It was my medical college. They wanted me to start my internship in just 2 weeks. I could barely get the words out. My dream of being a doctor was finally coming true. The room erupted in cheers for Kriti's freedom and for my long-awaited future. Siddharth squeezed my hand, his eyes saying more than words ever could. Kriti hugged me tight. We both fought so hard for this moment. Even my father, once so strict, looked at me with pride in his eyes. We raised our chai glasses to new beginnings and a future we'd fought for. As I looked out at the city, I knew this was just the start of our story. Staring at my internship letter, my hands shook. This was the moment I'd fought for. Alone on the garden bench, I wondered if I was truly ready for this. Doubt crept in. Would I be good enough to save lives? Then I heard his footsteps, Siddharth, always there when I needed him. He sat beside me, his warmth chasing away all my fears. "You were born for this," he said, and for a second, I believed him. Then we heard my father's footsteps, slow and deliberate. I tensed. Would he disapprove of my choice to be a doctor? He held out a small wooden box, one I remembered from my childhood. I took it, my heart racing. What could be inside after all these years? When I lifted the lid, my breath caught my childhood stethoscope pendant. Tears welled up. I'd forgotten he even remembered this. He smiled, a rare soft look on his face. "I was wrong to stop you," he said. "This is who you were meant to be." I held the pendant tight, all my past struggles making sense now. Siddharth squeezed my shoulder, his pride louder than any words. For the first time in years, my family felt whole again. This small pendant wasn't just a gift, it was my father's apology. I mumbled a thank you, my voice thick with tears. As the sun set, I knew tomorrow would be the start of everything. I clipped the pendant around my neck, ready to face whatever came next. Siddharth led me toward the house, our footsteps in sync. Behind us, I heard my father laugh, a sound I hadn't heard in years. With Siddharth by my side and my father's blessing, nothing could stop me. Tomorrow, I'd walk into that hospital as Dr. Shruti. And this time, I was ready. After all that chaos, I finally got to live my dream in my scrubs, right at home. Kriti and Dad were already in the kitchen, brewing that perfect morning chai. Dad's stern face had softened so much lately, nothing like the man who once controlled my life. Then he walked in my Siddharth, grinning like he'd just won the whole world. In that moment, I forgot all the pain. This was the peace I'd fought so hard for. Kriti handed me a cup of chai, her fingers steady for the first time in months. We didn't need words, we'd been through hell and back together. Before I knew it, Siddharth had his camera up, grinning like a kid. That camera had captured all our darkest days. And now, our brightest. I turned, caught off guard, and he snapped the shot right as I smiled. That click? It wasn't just a photo, it was proof we'd made it. He pulled up the photo, his grin so wide I thought his face would split. "Look at my doctor wife," he said. "You look absolutely amazing." Dad was watching, too, his face soft, like he finally understood what happiness meant. Kriti looked on, too free from her own chains, finally, at peace. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, like it was celebrating with us. We held hands across the table, and for a second, time stopped. He stood up, walking over to me, and pulled me into a hug. In that kitchen, with the people I loved, I knew this was just the start of our story. We were taking our first happy family photo in months, finally. Things felt right. Dad was smiling. Kriti looked hopeful for once. No fights, no secrets. Then the car pulled up Gautam and Marvi, with something that made my heart race. They carried a cake, and I could just make out the words written on top. "Congratulations, Dr. Shruti." They'd come to celebrate my dream finally coming true. I stared at those words, still shocked that this was my life now. We cut the cake together, laughter filling the air for the first time in forever. But then my phone buzzed sharp, urgent, cutting through the joy like a knife. I recognized that number instantly. It was the hospital, and it never called for good reasons. They said there was an emergency, that multiple patients needed me immediately. My smile faded. This was why I worked so hard for moments like this, when lives depended on me. I hugged Mom quickly, grabbed my bag, and turned to leave, no time for goodbyes. Siddharth was right beside me, squeezing my hand. He always knew when I needed strength. We ran to the car, every second feeling like it could mean the difference between life and death. As we pulled away, I looked back, hoping I'd see all of them again soon. The phone buzzed again, more updates, more patients waiting for me. I checked my supplies, my hands moving automatically, years of training taking over. My fingers wrapped around my stethoscope, a familiar weight that grounded me. The hospital lights came into view, sharp and urgent, cutting through the evening dark. This was where I belonged, but this time, I had no idea what challenges waited inside. I sprinted into the hospital parking lot, my scrubs flapping in the night wind. An emergency awaited. Siddharth was right behind me, clutching my medical bag, his face tight with worry. A nurse waved frantically, yelling about a car crash victim needing urgent help. My heart raced as I ran toward the emergency ward. Lives depended on me right now. The emergency doors loomed ahead, a beacon of chaos and hope in the dark night. I grabbed my stethoscope, my hands steady despite the adrenaline rushing through my veins. Siddharth squeezed my arm, his voice firm. "You've got this, Dr. Shruti. I believe in you. I believe in you." I nodded, not looking back. There was no single second for hesitation now. The nurse led me through busy corridors, the sound of beeping monitors growing louder by the second. The crash victim lay on the gurney, surrounded by medical staff working frantically to stabilize them. I reached the bedside, quickly assessing the patient's vital signs with practiced precision. The heart monitor beeped erratically, a sharp warning sign I couldn't afford to ignore. I barked orders to the nurses, my voice clear and authoritative amid the chaos. Siddharth watched from the doorway, his eyes filled with a mix of pride and deep concern. I slipped on sterile gloves, ready to do whatever it took to save this fragile life. A nurse handed me the necessary tools, her hands moving just as fast and steady as mine. My focus narrowed entirely to the patient. Nothing else existed in that intense moment. Slowly, the heart monitor settled into a steadier rhythm. We were making real progress. The nurse beside me let out a quiet sigh of relief, a small, tired smile on her face. I looked up, catching Siddharth's gaze. He gave me a small, proud nod of encouragement. I wiped the sweat from my brow, my body tired but my unwavering resolve burning bright. The emergency ward buzzed with ongoing activity, but our patient was finally stable. I collapsed in the hospital waiting room, my scrubs soaked with sweat and blood. I thought I'd break after that long, grueling surgery that felt like forever. Just when I hit my lowest, Siddharth was right there by my side. He handed me a cold bottle of water, his eyes full of warm concern. I drank it greedily, my throat dry as the desert sand under the sun. Just as I caught my breath, I heard footsteps approaching quickly. It was our hospital director, and he was wearing a rare smile. My heart raced. I thought I'd messed up somehow during surgery. But he didn't scold me. He praised my work on the crash victims. I was so relieved I could have burst into tears right then and there. Just as I was about to rest, my phone buzzed loudly in my hand. He told me news that made my heart leap with joy. My sister Kriti, who'd suffered so much, had gotten a job. She's starting as a receptionist at the local hospital next week. I couldn't believe it. My sister was finally rebuilding her life. Siddharth squeezed my hand, sharing my overwhelming joy for Kriti. I can't wait to hug Kriti and hear all the details myself. For the first time in days, I felt true peace wash over my tired body. After all the chaos and pain, we finally had something to celebrate. Tonight, our home glowed with joy. Kriti finally held her long-awaited job offer. For the first time in months, genuine laughter filled every corner of our home. But the doorbell cut through the cheer, an unexpected visitor, and my gut twisted with unease. I walked to the door, heart picking up pace. Who would visit at a time like this? When I opened the door, I knew right away it was Nihal's friend, looking utterly ashamed. He squeezed an envelope so tight his knuckles went white, too guilty to meet my eyes. He mumbled an apology, his voice so quiet I could barely hear him over the street sounds. My father joined me at the door, his face hardening when he saw who our visitor was. He stepped forward, holding out the envelope. "I'm here to return the money Nihal made me take for the fake wedding." My father took the envelope, his hands steady, but his eyes burning with unspoken anger. As he opened it, we could see stacks of cash inside money that was never supposed to be in that man's hands. He hung his head, shoulders shaking a little. I never wanted to be part of Nihal's lies. I stared at him, feeling a mix of anger and relief. At least someone had the decency to make things right. My father counted the money slowly, making sure every last note was there. You could hear a pin drop in the silence. Each bill felt like a reminder of all the chaos Nihal had brought into our lives. When he finished, he set the envelope down, his voice cold as he spoke to our visitor. He mumbled another apology, his voice cracking a little before he turned to leave. I watched him walk away into the dark, wondering if this was truly the end of Nihal's schemes. Inside, that envelope sat on our table, a strange, bittersweet end to a terrible chapter. We stood together, looking at that envelope. For the first time in a long while, we felt like we could breathe again. Dad's fingers curled tight around the envelope Nihal's friend had handed over. He slid open the flap, and the crisp cash inside came into view. One by one, he counted the notes, his face as cold as stone. The man who'd helped Nihal rushed toward the door, ready to escape. Just as he reached the door, Siddharth's voice cut through the silence. His tone was sharp as a knife, every word dripping with warning. The man froze mid-step, his face draining of color as he turned back. I held my breath, wondering how far Siddharth would take this. Siddharth stepped closer, his presence looming over the trembling man. Dad watched silently from the sofa, not stopping him for a second. "Tell Nihal to stay far away from my family. All of us." The man stumbled back, nodding so hard his glasses slipped down his nose. "If he ever comes near Shruti, or any of us again, we'll press charges. For fraud, for kidnapping." The man could barely speak, just stammering apologies over and over. I was shocked, but deep down, I knew he was right. He turned and ran for the door, practically tripping over his own feet. The door slammed shut behind him, the sound echoing through the quiet house. Siddharth let out a long breath, his tension finally fading a little. I walked over and squeezed his hand, knowing this wasn't the end. Nihal would come back. But together, we were ready for whatever he threw at us. Dad watched us from the sofa, a faint, almost unnoticeable nod of approval. The tension in the air finally broke, but we all knew it was only temporary. Stargazing with Siddharth on the terrace, I never expected what he'd pull out next. The night air was warm, but my heart started racing when he reached into his pocket. A small velvet box glinted in the starlight, my breath caught in my throat. He opened it slowly, revealing a tiny diamond ring that sparkled like the stars above. "I know it's not much," he said, "but it's all I have to give you right now." I slipped it on, my fingers trembling. The small ring meant more than any grand diamond. We sat in silence for a while, just holding hands and watching the sky. Just as I started to relax, my phone buzzed in my pocket, jolting me back to reality. I pulled it out, my stomach dropping when I saw Gautam's name on the screen. I answered, my voice shaky, wondering what could be wrong this time. Gautam's voice was urgent. He had news about Nihal that made my blood run cold. Nihal had tried to rob a jewelry store, and he'd been caught red-handed by the police. The police had dragged him out of the store, kicking and screaming like a spoiled child. They shoved him into the back of a police van, his face twisted with rage. I couldn't believe it. Nihal had always been cruel, but this was a new low. Siddharth pulled me close, whispering that it wasn't my fault, no matter what Nihal said. But Gautam wasn't done, he said. Nihal was blaming my father for his downfall. In the police station, Nihal was yelling that my father had ruined his life. My father, who'd always been strict but fair, how could Nihal even say that? I felt my blood boil. Nihal had stolen from us, lied, and now he was blaming my dad? We couldn't stay there any longer. We had to go home, to face whatever was coming next. Gautam said he'd send us all the details we had to be ready to fight back. I dragged my exhausted father into the police station at midnight. Nihal's lies were about to collapse. We walked past cold metal desks, every step heavier than the last. Through the glass, I saw Nihal screaming, his mask finally shattered. I stepped inside, my hands steady, clutching the proof that would end this. The room fell silent as I placed the video evidence on the table. Nihal's face turned pale. He knew his game was over. The video played Nihal's own words confessing to the fraud. Nihal lunged forward, but the officer slammed his hand on the table, silencing him. "Mr. Nihal," the officer said firmly, "you're under arrest for fraud." Nihal screamed, spitting insults, but we all knew it was useless. The officer pulled out handcuffs, his movements cold and precise. My father let out a breath I didn't know. He was holding his shoulders relaxed. I stared at Nihal. No longer scared, just relieved this nightmare was ending. Nihal struggled, but the cuffs clicked shut, sealing his fate. As they led him away, his shouts faded into the distance. I took my father's hand. We'd finally won, but the cost had been high. We walked back through the empty corridor, the weight lifting off our chests. The night air hit our faces, cold, but free. We had our lives back, but I knew this wouldn't be the last battle. We finally made it home. And there was Papa, drained and holding his chai. I sat right beside him, desperate to soothe the weight he was carrying. His hand trembled as he held his cup. You could see every bit of his exhaustion. Then Kriti appeared, carrying a blanket, her own eyes heavy with worry. Papa let out a long sigh, and I saw the guilt flooding his eyes. I didn't say a word, just looked at him, letting him know I understood. Kriti quietly draped the blanket over his shoulders, her touch gentle and careful. Then he spoke, his voice cracking, admitting all the ways he'd been wrong. He spoke of how he'd let tradition blind him, how he'd failed both of us. I reached out and held his hand, squeezing it tight to show him I forgave him. Kriti smiled through her tears, letting Papa know she forgave him too. Slowly, his stern face softened, and tears welled up in his eyes. The warm light wrapped around us, like a hug for our broken little family. I leaned my head on his shoulder, finally feeling at peace after everything. Kriti joined us too, and for the first time in so long, we felt whole. We sat there, huddled together, and I knew we'd get through anything now. Papa gently patted my back, a quiet apology in the gesture. A smile spread across my face, and I felt true happiness fill my heart. In that moment, I knew no matter what came next, we'd face it together as a family. I was buried in my work at the hospital, just another busy day. Little did I know, something unexpected was about to happen. A nurse leaned in, her voice low with a secret message. I followed her down the hall, my curiosity growing with every step. The hallway seemed to stretch on, building up to something big. My hand hovered over the doorknob, wondering who waited inside. I pushed the door open, my heart beating a little faster. A familiar figure sat there, holding something colorful. The vibrant flowers caught my eye, but I still couldn't believe it. He turned around, and I felt my throat tighten with emotion. The room felt warm, like all the tension had melted away. I stood there, speechless, tears welling up in my eyes. He gestured to the chair across from him, his smile soft. Siddharth watched from the waiting room, curious about what was happening. He slid the flowers across the desk, and I reached out to take them. The petals were soft under my fingers, a perfect symbol of this moment. Leaning forward, he said something I never expected. I stared at him, my mind racing to grasp his words. His smile held so much pride, it made my heart ache. We sat there in silence, understanding passing between us. Siddharth walked in, his smile matching the warm mood. In that moment, everything felt perfectly right. This was more than just a checkup, it was a new beginning for us. I thought this day would just be a quiet chat with my dad boy. Was I wrong? Dad showed up out of the blue, bearing flowers to celebrate my first official week. Siddharth snuck in to capture the moment, grinning like a kid with a new toy. He kept fussing, saying he wanted the perfect shot for our memory wall. We laughed, posed, and thought this would be the highlight of our day. Then my phone buzzed an urgent call from the hospital director. My smile faded fast when I saw who was calling. This couldn't be good. I stepped outside to take it, my heart starting to race a little. A medical camp in the rural villages? I blurted, shocked. The director was serious. They needed me to lead the team. I didn't hesitate. If those villages needed help, I was in. I hung up, my mind already racing with plans and preparations. Siddharth squeezed my hand, his eyes full of pride and support. We started brainstorming what supplies would we need, who would come with us. Dad offered to help gather supplies. And Siddharth, well, he had a surprise. He'd already packed a bag. He was coming with me, as my volunteer helper. I felt my eyes water. Having him by my side made everything feel possible. And the deadline? We had to leave next week. No time to waste. I fired off text to my team, getting everything in order before we left. As the sun set, we knew this would be the start of something big. But what awaited us in the villages? I just got home, ready to tell my family about the medical camp mission ahead. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the living room where my family waited. The moment I spoke, Dad's stern face softened with pride. Then Siddharth stepped forward, pulling out a suitcase with a grin. He told me he'd be volunteering with me, right by my side. Kriti didn't stay quiet either, offering to handle all the paperwork. After everything she'd been through, she was eager to help. Just as we talked, we heard a commotion at the door. Gautam and Mauravi walked in, rolling their own suitcases behind them. Gautam said they'd handle all the logistics. We wouldn't lift a finger. Mauravi waved her little notebook, ready to plan every detail. Mom even brought in chai, her eyes shining with joy for us. The warm chai in my hands made everything feel real and right. We sat down together, mapping out every part of our trip. I looked at Siddharth, my heart full of gratitude for this support. Dad nodded along, finally fully supporting my dreams. I glanced at the old photo on the wall. My dream was finally coming true. We jumped up, ready to start packing for the journey ahead. As we opened our suitcases, I knew this would be an adventure we'd never forget. Kriti already had her paperwork supplies laid out, organized as ever. Gautam spread out a map, marking the best route to the village. Mauravi's notebook was already filled with scribbled plans and notes. Siddharth carefully packed my medical supplies, handling them gently. The room was soon full of packed bags, and laughter filled the air. We finally set up camp in the village square, ready to help. The villagers watched us with curious eyes, wondering what we were doing. We had to work fast. Every second counted for the people here. Siddharth was right there with me, carrying all the heavy stuff without a word. When we finished, the villagers started to come closer, tentative but hopeful. My first patient was an elderly woman, her face lined with years of hard work. I wrapped the cuff around her arm, trying to make her feel at ease. Her blood pressure was a little high, but nothing we couldn't manage. She smiled and nodded, grateful for the help we were giving her. More villagers lined up, their faces full of hope that we could help them. Just as I turned to the next patient, a small voice called out to me. It was a little girl, her face twisted in pain, holding her arm. My heart dropped. I knew she was hurt bad, and I needed to help her fast. I knelt down gently, trying not to scare her as I looked at her arm. She said she fell from a tree, and her arm hurt so bad she could barely move it. Siddharth was right there with supplies. He always knew what I needed. I started to wrap her arm with a splint, trying to make it stable for her. She started to calm down, her face softening as I worked on her arm. The villagers watched, their faces now full of relief and gratitude. I knew this was just the start. We had so many more people to help here. I was examining the little girl's arm when I spotted the faint fracture. We'd set up our camp in the village square, ready to help anyone in need. Just when I needed it, Siddharth passed over a splint for the girl's arm. I grabbed the splint, already planning how to secure her arm properly. With steady hands, I started fitting the splint to her small arm. I wrapped the bandage carefully, making sure it was firm but not too tight. When she wiggled her arm and smiled, I knew I'd done it right. Her mother stared at me, tears welling up in her eyes. Before I could react, she pulled me into a tight, tearful hug. The villagers around us smiled, clearly touched by the moment. Just then, I saw the village elder approaching with something in his hands. It was a plate of colorful sweets, glinting in the morning sun. He held out the plate, his face warm with deep gratitude. I took a sweet, my throat tight with unexpected emotion. The villagers broke into soft cheers, thanking us for being there. In that moment, all the chaos and stress felt totally worth it. I glanced at Siddharth, and he gave me that familiar, proud grin. The little girl tugged my sleeve, pointing at the quiet village beyond. Looking out at the quiet village, I knew we'd made a real difference. But I had a feeling this wasn't the last time we'd help these people. After healing the village, they threw us a feast. This was the best thank you ever. Everyone sat on the dirt, meals spread on banana leaves. This was their way of showing gratitude. Then I spotted her, the little girl I treated, racing over with a big grin. She plopped down beside me and tore off a piece of roti. She wanted to share her meal. As we shared that roti, I realized this was why I'd become a doctor, to connect like this. Her small hand held the roti out, still a little messy from playing earlier. I took the roti gently, and her grin grew so big her eyes crinkled at the corners. The villagers watched us, their smiles warm and full of thanks we could never repay. Then the village elder stood up, holding a small box in his hands. Everyone went quiet. He walked slowly toward me, and my heart beat a little faster. What could he be holding? The box was carved with village patterns. Old and worn, you could tell it was precious. I tilted my head, confused. I'd only done my job. Why was he giving me something special? For you, Dr. Shruti, he said. A thank you from every villager here. He held out the box, and I hesitated for a second before taking it gently. As my fingers touched the box, the villagers erupted in cheers. This was their way of saying thank you. My hands shook a little. This box wasn't just wood, it was all their trust and gratitude. I slowly lifted the lid, curious what was inside, something that would stay with me forever. It was a silver stethoscope pendant, carved by the village blacksmith, just for me. I picked it up, my eyes stinging. No gift had ever meant as much as this one. As I put it around my neck, the little girl ran up and hugged me. This was the moment I'd never forget. Her hug was tight, full of joy. In that moment, I knew I'd made the right choice. The village elder held out something special, a hand-forged silver stethoscope pendant. He said it was made by our village blacksmith, just as a thank you for my help. I stared at it, my throat tight. I never expected such a heartfelt gift. My fingers trembled as I took it. Every scratch showed how much care went into it. The villagers cheered, their smiles brighter than the desert sun above. Tears rolled down my cheeks. This wasn't just a gift, it was family's gratitude. Their cheers echoed across the square. I knew I'd truly made a difference here. We were packing to leave, our hearts full, but ready to head back home. Just then, a familiar voice called out our little healed patient, running toward us. She held a colorful drawing, her grin wide. I could already spot our faces on it. I knelt down to look closer, my curiosity and warmth growing. It was all three of us, smiling like we'd been family forever. A warm smile spread across my face. This was the best gift I could ask for. I pulled her into a tight hug, so grateful for this little ray of sunshine. "Don't ever forget me, Dee Dee," she said, her voice soft but serious. I looked into her eyes, promising I'd never, ever forget her. We turned to walk to the car, our hearts heavy but full of warm memories. I took one last look at the village, already knowing I'd be back soon. The car started, and I waved back at our little friend, her smile still bright as ever. On our way back to Delhi, this little drawing in my hand feels warmer than any blanket. The car's quiet, everyone tired from the village trip but somehow at peace. That little girl's smile. It reminds me why I chose to be a doctor. Siddharth's hand covers mine, silent support that says more than words. Tired as we are, being together makes this long drive feel like nothing. Just then, my phone buzzes. Dad's calling, his voice warm through the line. He says he's prepared a surprise for us at home. My curiosity spikes instantly. Siddharth smirks beside me, saying Dad's surprise is never something small. I playfully hit his arm, my heart racing with excitement for whatever waits at home. As Delhi's skyline comes into view, I can barely sit still in my seat. What could Dad have prepared? My mind races with 100 possibilities. Morvi stirs awake, asking about the surprise too. We're all curious now. Siddharth's gaze softens, saying whatever it is, we'll face it together. This little drawing already feels like one of my most precious treasures. I tuck the drawing safely in my bag, determined to keep it forever. The navigation says we're just 5 kilometers away. Time is moving too slow. Cars start to crowd the road, a sign we're truly back in the busy city. Our hands stay locked together, a quiet promise that we're in this together. Familiar streets pass by, making me miss home more than I thought I would. Dad sends a text. Almost home. The surprise is waiting. My excitement is off the charts. Siddharth fixes his collar, joking about making a good impression on Dad. I smooth out my clothes and hair, suddenly nervous about seeing everyone again. We turn onto our street, and there it is, our house, looking warmer than ever. My heart thuds in my chest. What could this surprise possibly be? We pulled up to my house, and the first thing I saw was this something I never expected. The whole place was lit up like a festival. I stood there, completely stunned. Then I spotted Mom and Kriti, grinning like they'd been hiding a huge secret. We walked toward them, my heart racing. What could they possibly have planned? The whole scene felt like a dream, like all our struggles had finally led to this. Then Dad stepped out from the kitchen, and I saw what he was holding, a cake. He didn't look stern anymore, his face was soft, like he'd let go of all his worries. I leaned in, and I read the words on it. Welcome home, heroes. I couldn't speak. Tears welled up in my eyes. I never thought I'd hear my dad say anything like this. Siddharth squeezed my hand, and I knew he was feeling the same mix of shock and joy. Then Dad cleared his throat, and I leaned in, listening to every word he said. He had more to say, something that made my heart skip a beat entirely. He said he'd been planning it for weeks, and I had no clue at all. I leaned forward, my eyes wide. What could he possibly have planned for us? The whole room went quiet, and I could feel everyone waiting for the big news. And then he said he'd arranged a proper wedding reception for Siddharth and me. Siddharth and I looked at each other, and I saw the same shock and joy in his eyes. Kriti was beaming, clapping her hands like she'd known all along. Of course she had. Mom had tears in her eyes too. It felt like all our pain had finally paid off. And the best part? It was this weekend. We had no time to prepare, but we didn't care at all. This weekend? I couldn't believe how soon it was. But deep down, I was so ready. Siddharth pulled me into a hug, and I could feel his heart beating fast with excitement. Today's the day. I've waited for my wedding, finally happening. The venue's decked out in flowers and fairy lights, just like I dreamed. Marvi helped me into this deep red silk lehenga, stitched with gold threads. Standing up, I felt the silk flow around me, heavy with tradition and hope. For the first time, I felt like a bride, not a doctor, fighting for her future. Morvi wove fresh jasmine into my hair, the sweet scent filling the air. I stared at my reflection, barely recognizing the woman looking back at me. Marvi's grin told me everything she knew how much this meant to me. With a deep breath, I walked toward the entrance, my heart pounding so hard. And there he was, Siddharth, waiting for me at the end of the aisle. His eyes lit up when he saw me, like all his wildest dreams had come true. He looked so handsome in his traditional sherwani, standing tall and proud. My father appeared beside me, offering his arm, his expression softer than I'd seen in years. Walking arm in arm with my dad, every step felt like a new beginning. The guests watched us, smiles on their faces, as we made our way forward. My father's hand was warm in mine, a silent apology and blessing all in one. Siddharth took a step toward us, his eyes never leaving mine for a second. I could feel everyone's love and support around me, wrapping me in warmth. When our eyes met, I knew this was where I belonged, right here, with him. My father squeezed my hand, getting ready to pass me to the love of my life. This moment, all the fights, all the risks led us right here, right now. I never imagined my wildest wedding dreams would actually come true like this. And there he was, waiting like he'd been my destiny all along. This garland wasn't just flowers, it was our second chance at forever. Step by step, we closed the distance that almost tore us apart. When we placed them on each other, I knew we'd beaten every odd. I saw pride in my father's eyes, something I never thought I'd earn. He stepped forward, and for the first time, I felt hope, not fear. His hand in mine felt like a promise, like he finally understood me. And then, he gave me to Siddharth, like giving me my own life back. His grip was firm, like he'd never let me go again, and I knew he never would. The room erupted in cheers, and all our troubles felt far away. We cut our cake, and I tasted the sweetness of our new beginning. Feeding each other felt like a silly, perfect promise of more moments like this. Our friends captured every second, so we'd never forget this day. Just when I thought it couldn't get better, I saw them by the door. It was the little girl I'd helped in the village here, just for us. Her mother said they'd traveled far to share our special day. Tears filled my eyes. This day just got even more meaningful. As she ran toward me, I knew this was truly my happiest day ever. The wedding just wrapped, and there's someone special I've been dying to see. This little girl, she's the reason I kept fighting to help others. I fixed her broken arm weeks ago. Now she's here to celebrate with me. Siddharth's been capturing every second of this perfect day. I never thought I'd get this moment: love, family, and a chance to heal. Siddharth got the perfect shot. This is going on our wall for sure. Kriti's been keeping her company, telling stories about our village trip. She's been raiding the dessert table. Who can blame her? It's amazing. Her mom came over to thank me. That's why I became a doctor. I told her this is what I'm meant to do, help people like her. I noticed my father watching from across the room. He had a strange look on his face. He walked over slowly, like he had something important to say. He pulled me aside, away from the crowd. My heart started racing a little. He pulled out a small wooden box. I had no idea what was inside. I stared at it, wondering what kind of gift this could be. He opened it slowly, and I leaned in to see what was inside. It was ownership papers for the village clinic I'd been working at. I couldn't believe it. The clinic was mine? He said he was proud of me. Proud I followed my dream to heal others. I picked up the papers, my hands shaking a little. This was everything I wanted. I hugged him tight, finally feeling like he understood my passion. He patted my back, saying he'd been wrong to hold me back. Siddharth walked over, smiling like he knew this would happen. He winked at me, so proud of what I'd achieved. For the first time in years, everything felt perfect. Sitting in the quiet hospital parking lot, I stared at the clinic papers, tears spilling onto the pages. I never thought I'd actually own my own clinic after everything we'd been through. Siddharth didn't say a word, he just held me tighter, like he could take all my pain away. Then he kissed my forehead, and for a second, all the stress felt like it might just melt away. We sat there in silence, just holding hands, finally letting ourselves breathe after all the chaos. But just as I started to relax, my phone buzzed, breaking the fragile peace we'd found. I recognized the number immediately. My hospital director calling this late could only mean trouble. The director's voice was urgent. There had been a massive mass casualty incident downtown. I didn't hesitate. Told him I'd be at the hospital as fast as humanly possible. I flung open the car door, my mind already racing ahead to the chaos waiting in the ER. Every second wasted could mean losing another patient. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. Siddharth didn't let me go alone. He grabbed his jacket and followed close behind me. The hospital entrance loomed ahead, its bright lights a beacon in the dark, tense night. We burst through the doors, already bracing for the organized chaos that awaited us inside. The lobby was already a flurry of activity, nurses rushing, doctors calling out urgent orders. I grabbed my white coat from the nurses' station, my hands shaking but my focus razor sharp. In that moment, all my personal joy faded away. My only mission was to save as many lives as I could. I walked toward the ER doors, ready to face whatever chaos waited inside with Siddharth behind me. I could handle anything. The hospital called with an emergency. My shift just turned into a race against time. My hands shook as I pulled on the scrubs. This wasn't just a shift, it was a fight. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me, the emergency lights blurring past my eyes. The ER doors swung open, and the chaos hit me like a concrete wall. Monitors beeped nonstop, each sound a reminder of how much was at stake. I grabbed a stethoscope, my focus sharpening with every passing second. I didn't expect him to stay, but he lingered, holding supplies I might need before I knew it. I pressed the stethoscope to a patient's chest, their heartbeat weak but stubbornly steady. Just as I needed it, he handed me a roll of bandages, no questions, no hesitation. We worked in silence, moving in sync like we'd done this 100 times before. Sweat dripped down my face, but I couldn't stop, not when lives depended on me. When I paused for half a second, he pressed a water bottle into my hand, his eyes soft. I looked up at him, and for a second, the chaos of the ER faded into background noise. The ER never slowed down, but having him there made the chaos feel bearable. I adjusted an IV line, my hands finally steady after the initial rush of panic. Siddharth organized the supply cart behind me, keeping everything in order. When we had a quiet moment, I mumbled a thank you words felt too small for what he'd done. He just smiled and nodded, like he was doing the easiest thing in the world. I turned back to the patients, knowing I wasn't fighting this battle alone anymore. A patient's mother grabbed my hand, tears of relief streaming down her face. I squeezed her hand, trying to give her hope when I barely had any left myself. The other nurses and doctors rushed around, all fighting the same desperate fight for our patients. When the worst of the rush passed, we leaned against a wall, completely exhausted. He handed me a tissue, his eyes soft with concern for how drained I was. After that mass casualty rescue, my body gave out. I collapsed in the hospital waiting room. I couldn't move another muscle. I thought I'd pass out right there. Then a cup of chai appeared in front of me. It was Siddharth, always there when I needed him. He'd been by my side through the entire chaotic operation, never leaving. I sipped the warm chai, finally feeling my strength come back little by little. Just as I started to relax, I heard footsteps approaching. It was the hospital director. He walked over with a smile on his face, and my heart started racing. He gave me a thumbs up, and I knew something good was coming. He praised my work during the emergency, said I'd saved so many lives that night. I felt a warm sense of pride, even though every muscle in my body ached. Just as I was about to rest, my phone started buzzing in my lap. I saw the name on the screen and my heart skipped a beat. It was the little village girl. I answered the phone, my voice still hoarse from exhaustion. Then I heard her bright, happy voice on the other end of the line. She told me her arm was completely better now, that she could run and play again. Tears welled up in my eyes as I listened. All my hard work had been worth it. Siddharth noticed my smile, and smiled too. He knew what this meant to me. I told her I was so happy for her, my voice shaking with emotion. As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. Siddharth reached over and held my hand, silently telling me he was proud of me too. I collapsed on the sofa the second I got home, still in my blood-stained scrubs. I was so tired I couldn't even move. The last thing I remembered was the bus crash victims. I passed out the second my head hit the cushion. I didn't hear Siddharth come in. He must have been watching me for a while. He moved so quietly, tucking the blanket around me like I was something fragile. That's the last thing I saw before I drifted back into a deep sleep. I woke up to the smell of something warm and sweet. My head was still throbbing, but I felt better. My mom was standing there with chai and toast. She must have been waiting for me to wake up. That chai tasted like heaven. I drank it slowly, letting the warmth spread through my body. Mom didn't say much. She just sat there, watching me eat like she was making sure I was really okay. Just as I finished the last bite of toast, my phone buzzed loudly on the coffee table. I saw the name on the screen and my heart sank. It was the village elder who'd given me the statue. His voice was urgent, so serious I knew something terrible had happened. There's a fever outbreak, he said. The children are sick, and we don't know what to do. I jumped up from the sofa, my exhaustion forgotten. I knew I had to go there, right now. Siddharth was right behind me, grabbing his keys. I'm coming with you, he said. No room for argument. I stuffed my bag with everything I might need. Stethoscope, meds, bandages. My hands were shaking, but I didn't stop. Mom didn't try to stop us. She just stood there, watching us leave, her eyes filled with pride. Siddharth didn't say a word as he started the car. He just looked at me, and I knew he understood. I held my medical bag tight, my mind racing. I had to save those kids. I just had to. Siddharth reached over and squeezed my hand. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. We're racing against time. Those village kids don't have a second to waste. My hands won't stop shaking. Every second lost could cost a child's life. Gautam's pulling every string to get us more emergency supplies. Siddharth's driving like his life depends on it, because right now, it does. The village's horizon feels miles away, but we're not slowing down. I can already hear the kids' cries in my head. We have to make it. Every time I glance in the mirror, I half expect to see disaster. We have enough to start, but not enough to save everyone. We're almost there, but the village looks quieter than it should. My legs are wobbly, but I don't dare stop now. The villagers' faces say it all. This is worse than we thought. Then I see him, our village elder, running like his house is on fire. He's yelling something, but my ears are ringing too loud to hear. When he finally reaches me, his words freeze my blood. So many children. Their fevers won't break, no matter what they try. He points to the clinic and my stomach drops. We're too late for some? I grip my stethoscope so tight, my knuckles white. We can't lose anyone else. Siddharth and Gautam are already unloading supplies. We don't have time to grieve. Through the clinic window, I see a child's red face. This is just the beginning. I don't think twice. I sprint into that clinic, ready to fight for every last child. The clinic is chaos, but in chaos, I find my focus. This is what I was born to do. The village fever outbreak is spiraling out of control. I'm the only doctor between these kids and disaster. This little girl's fever won't break. Her mother's tears are breaking my heart, but I can't stop now. Her forehead burns like fire. Every second wasted could be a life lost. Just when I thought I'd run out of options, Siddharth appears with supplies we never thought we'd get. He's not just my partner, he's the reason I haven't given up yet. This IV line isn't just plastic and fluid, it's a lifeline for this little girl. We work in silence, every movement precise, every single second counting. The needle goes in, and for the first time all day, I feel a flicker of hope. Then Marvi bursts in, carrying more supplies than we dared to ask for. Suddenly, we have enough meds to treat everyone, but the real test is just beginning. The hospital's emergency supplies arrive right on time. We're not alone in this fight. I watched Siddharth carry box after box, his face set with unshakable determination. Our eyes lock, and we both know we're going to save these people, no matter what it takes. With supplies in hand, I turn to the next patient. The fight isn't over, but we've got a chance now. I cast. The villagers wait quietly, their eyes filled with hope they haven't felt in days. Marvi's keeping track of every patient, her usual smile replaced by fierce focus. Siddharth isn't just carrying supplies, he's carrying these people's faith in us. The little girl's fever finally breaks. That tiny smile is worth every sleepless night. I walk over to Siddharth and take his hand. We did this. We actually pulled this off. As the sun sets over the village, I know this is just the start, but together, we can face anything. The clinic was chaos, but we refused to give up on these villagers. Everyone worked non-stop, Gautam prepping meds, Maurvi organizing supplies. Even the little girl joined in, carrying water to the sick. She moved so carefully, like each cup held a little bit of hope. Hours passed, we were exhausted, but we refused to stop. My hands shook as I prepped another injection, fatigue weighing on me. Gautam brought more antibiotics, his face tense but determined. Maurvi bandaged wounds with gentle care, never complaining. Siddharth helped patients get comfortable, his touch gentle and steady. Finally, the little girl rested, her tiny shoulders heaving with tiredness. Then her eyes lit up, and she jumped to her feet in excitement. She ran straight to me, her small frame moving as fast as she could. I froze, my heart racing. What could she have to tell me? The baby's fever is gone. She's smiling again, she yelled. I couldn't believe it all. Our hard work had actually paid off. Tears filled my eyes. We had done it. We had saved them. Everyone turned, their tired faces breaking into bright smiles. Siddharth's smile was so bright, all the stress melted away. Gautam clapped me on the shoulder, pride shining in his eyes. In that moment, all exhaustion vanished. We had given these villagers hope. Never in my wildest dreams did I think a village would celebrate like this for me. After all we'd been through, this felt like a dream come true. I stood there, still, not quite believing this was all for me. Then I saw him, the village elder, waiting just for me. All eyes were on us as he held out something I never expected. This is for you, he said, a symbol of what you've done for us. My fingers brushed the cool stone, and I felt a warmth I'd never known before. You didn't just heal our bodies, he said. You healed our hope. Tears welled up in my eyes. I never thought I'd mean this much to anyone. Just then, a familiar little figure came bounding over to me. Didi, my arm feels so strong now, she cheered, squeezing me tight. In that moment, I knew every tough choice had been worth it. And there was Siddharth, the man who'd been with me through every storm. He walked over, his hand finding mine, and I felt everything fall into place. We didn't need words. He knew exactly how I felt. The villagers' songs filled the air, and for once, I felt truly home. Then the elder raised his hand, and the whole square went quiet. This village is your home now, Dr. Shruti. You'll always belong here. In that moment, I knew I'd found more than just a home. I'd found a family. But as the night went on, I wondered what adventures would come next. We just left the village, and this statue feels heavier than ever, carrying all their gratitude. We were all exhausted after the fever outbreak. Everyone crashed the second we hit the road. I couldn't stop thinking about those sick kids, how scared their mothers were. Then I felt his hand wrap around mine. He always knows when I need comfort. We'd come so far from that Haveli, from all the chaos with Nihal. It felt like a lifetime ago. This statue wasn't just a gift, it was proof we'd done something real, something good. Gautam had been driving non-stop, never complaining, always keeping us safe. Maurvi was out cold. She'd been running around organizing supplies for days. I stared out the window, watching the golden desert blur past us. The road stretched ahead, leading us back to Delhi, back to what felt like normal. Then my phone buzzed, jolting me out of my thoughts. I didn't recognize the ringtone at first. Siddharth instantly looked over, worried it was bad news from the village. I fumbled to pick it up. When I saw the caller ID, I relaxed a little. It was Papa. His voice was so warm, so happy. I hadn't heard him sound like that in months. He said he'd been waiting for us to call, but he wanted to surprise us instead. I froze when he said he'd prepared a surprise dinner, just for us, to celebrate our success. Siddharth squeezed my hand, grinning like a kid. He was even more excited than I was. Maurvi woke up at the commotion, and when she heard, she cheered so loud she scared a bird outside the window. Even Gautam cracked a smile, something he almost never did, especially after all the stress we'd been through. The city skyline started to appear in the distance, and suddenly, home felt so close, so warm. I held his hand tighter, feeling for the first time in forever like everything was going to be okay. I leaned my head on his shoulder, finally letting myself relax, letting myself feel the peace. The sunset painted the sky pink and orange, and I thought maybe this is what happiness feels like. After all the fighting, all the fear, all the running, and we were finally going home, together. I didn't know what the surprise dinner would bring, but I didn't care. I just knew I was where I belonged. Dinner had just ended when Siddharth suddenly grabbed my hand. His eyes held a secret. I had no idea what he was planning, but my heart already raced with excitement. That mischievous grin told me this was going to be something special. I followed him down the hallway, my mind racing with possibilities. When we reached the living room, our family watched with knowing smiles. He pulled out a paper from his pocket, and it was a travel itinerary. My eyes went wide. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Where were we going? I barely managed to ask the question. He leaned in and whispered one word, that made my heart skip a beat. Rajasthan. I immediately thought of the Haveli where we'd said our wedding vows. Tears pricked my eyes. I never thought we'd go back there so soon. Mom stepped forward with a packed bag she'd known all along. A Haveli sticker on the bag brought back so many memories of our wedding day. We walked hand in hand toward the door, our hearts full of anticipation. Our family waved from the door, and I knew this trip would be unforgettable. Siddharth opened the car door, his smile brighter than the streetlights. I slid into the car, still waving at our family as we prepared to leave. He turned the key, and the car roared to life. Our journey was starting. As the car pulled away, I couldn't stop smiling. We were going back to our beginning. We held hands in the car, both quiet, but our hearts were singing with joy. He turned to me, his voice soft. "I want to relive our wedding day with you." As we drove into the night, all I could think about was the Haveli at sunset. We returned to the Haveli, where it all began, where we said our vows. Every stone here holds a memory I thought I'd never revisit without fear. I could almost hear the Panditji's voice, the rustle of my lehenga. He led me straight to the spot where we became husband and wife. The sun hit the stones just like it did on our wedding day. Then he pulled something from behind his back, something I never expected. A small cake, with our wedding date written right on top. It was the exact date we'd whispered to each other that day. I could feel tears welling up. This man never stopped surprising me. He looked at me like I was still the girl in the red lehenga, not the doctor fighting for everything. "You're not just my wife," he said. "You're my fighter, my heart, my everything." I couldn't find words, so I just touched his face, letting him know I felt the same. His skin was warm under my touch, just like it was on our wedding night. We held each other, the sun wrapping around us like a golden blanket. He picked up a knife, and we prepared to cut our little anniversary cake. The knife sank into the soft cream, just like our love sank into our lives. He fed me a bite, and the sweetness tasted like all our happy moments. For the first time in so long, I felt fully at peace, fully loved. We sat on the terrace, watching the sun set over the golden desert. He squeezed my hand, and I knew no matter what, we'd face it together. Under the starry Rajasthan sky, Siddharth and I danced like there was no tomorrow. The Haveli's terrace felt like our own little world, far from all troubles. His hand in mine was the only anchor I needed after everything we'd endured. When we slowed down, we leaned against the railing, watching the desert breeze. We sat on the cool stone steps, completely lost in the sea of stars above. For the first time in forever, I felt truly free from all my worries. When I looked up, I found him already staring at me, his eyes full of love. He brushed a strand of hair behind my ear, and I felt my heart skip a beat. We didn't need any words, we already knew everything we needed to say. The desert sky felt like it was putting on a show just for us that night. Just as I was about to drift off, a buzz from my pocket jolted me awake. It was the village elder. My heart raced, wondering what could be wrong now. I answered quickly, my voice still soft from our quiet moment together. What he said next made my breath catch. All the villagers were fully recovered. Siddharth noticed my shock and squeezed my hand, waiting for me to share the news. The fever outbreak was completely over. Every single person was healthy again. I could barely speak as I thanked him, tears of joy filling my eyes. He told me they'd set up a health committee to keep everyone safe from now on. When I hung up, I looked at Siddharth, and we both knew this was our happy beginning. We held each other tight, knowing no matter what came next, we'd face it together. All our struggles, all our fights they had, all led to this perfect moment. The stars seemed to shine brighter that night, as if they were celebrating with us too. I woke up, wrapped in Siddharth's arms, the desert sun painting the sky gold. A new beginning, at last. The desert dawn felt like a promise. All our hard fights were finally behind us, or so I thought. This little village statue wasn't just a gift, it was proof of who I'd become, who we'd become. Siddharth laced his fingers through mine, leading me to the car. Home was finally within our grasp. As we stood at the gates, I knew this wasn't the end, just the very start of our journey. He opened the car door for me, his grin brighter than the rising sun. I could feel hope blooming. I took one last look at the Haveli, where our secret wedding changed everything forever. The statue sat in my lap, a quiet guardian of all the lives we'd touched, all we'd fought for. When he turned the key, the engine purred to life. I could feel excitement buzzing in my bones. The car pulled away from the Haveli, leaving the past behind, but never the memories we made. I laced my fingers through his, silently thanking the universe for bringing him to me when I needed him most. Leaning my head on his shoulder, I let myself relax for the first time in months. No more hiding, no more fear. For so long, I'd been fighting to survive. Now, I finally felt like I could truly live. The desert stretched out endlessly, but with Siddharth beside me, I had no fear of the unknown. He glanced over at me, his eyes soft with love, and I knew we'd conquer anything that came our way. Every mile brought us closer to home, to the life we were building together, one day at a time. I traced the carvings on the statue, remembering the villagers' smiles, their gratitude for our help. Whatever challenges waited for us back home, I knew we'd face them together, side by side, always. Our hands stayed laced together, a quiet promise to never let go, never stop fighting for each other. This wasn't the end of our story. It was just the start of something truly extraordinary. I looked ahead, my heart full of hope. The best was still yet to come. I just knew it. Siddharth kept his eyes on the road, but I could feel his love radiating toward me, warm and steady.